God only knows what you've been through. God only knows what they say about you. God only knows how it's killing you. But there's a kind of love that God only knows. God only knows what you've been through. God only knows what they say about you. But God only knows the real you. There's a kind of love that God only knows.
Welcome to my second podcast of Your Journey is Not Over. This is my disclaimer. This is of my own personal journey. The opinions and expressions are of my own. I own all the rights to my personal journey, and your journey is not over. Neither are to be used, copied, edited in any way without my consent. With all of that being said, let's get started. Again, welcome back. My name is Tanya Pearson Randolph. I'm going to pick up right where I left off on my journey. This is one you really don't want to miss. The whole flight to Florida was nothing but reflection and grieving the person that I had became and was going to Florida to release and say goodbye to. I knew I would never be the same after this trip. I landed in Florida close to midnight. I get my luggage and I stroll out the door to get a cab. I was blessed with the most amazing cab driver. By the time we got to my resort, about 30 minutes, he turned from a complete stranger to someone that I now refer to as my little brother. You have to personally know me to know how this could even be possible. We get to the resort, and I grab my friend, and Waffle House bound we go. Promise there's a reason for these details. We eat and visit and proceed to the parking lot for what would become a nightly tradition on this trip. It's called Waffle House Parking Lot Party. Again, only me. This time we are all three standing there talking, laughing, and all of a sudden I see a shooting star in the sky. Of course I made a wish. I wished for peace and healing and happiness. The next day was April 16th, again a day I will never, ever forget. Normal day on the beach, my friend and I had walked arm in arm on the beach. We walked a lot that day. We discussed a lot of our trauma, and we both are widows, so we have a shared trauma. It's a level of understanding of each other. And as I say, we are sisters in a club that we didn't want to join. We were forced to join that club. The only other person that I had shared the things I'd shared with my friend that day was my husband. My husband knew every single thing about me, the good, the bad, and the ugly. He was the first person to love me unconditionally since my grandmother, who had passed away in 1983. And he's also the first person in my life who learned my weaknesses and vulnerabilities and never once used them against me or as a weapon to hurt me. That's pure unconditional love. Would he point out why I was like I was on certain things? Of course. Would he challenge me to heal certain trauma? Yes. He didn't want me stuck in the trauma. He wanted me to heal and be the best version of myself. Because of the unconditional love that he gave me in the almost 8 years I got to spend with him, I always told him, I love the way you love me. In fact, those exact words are being put on our headstone as I'm speaking now. My friend and I called, who is now referred to as my little brother, to come and get us and take us so I could go visit my family. Again, complete strangers that are now truly my family. I had met them on a previous trip in October, which was my first trip after I lost my husband. So long story short, I was on the beach and somehow my phone got crushed. I am not talking broke. I am not talking screen cracked. No, no. When I say crushed, I mean crushed. Of course, I'm hysterical, and I'm scared that I had lost everything of what I had left of my husband. All of the pictures, videos, the last moments. Now I know what everyone is thinking. iCloud, right? Yes, but iCloud does not save text messages. Not to sound selfish, but I wanted it all. I wanted everything. Frantic and a mess, a friend who I now refer to as my big brother, and also want to mention, had just met him the day prior at the airport. That's a funny story I will tell later on in my journey. Again, you have to personally know me to even know how this could be possible, that complete strangers become my family. God puts the most amazing people in my life and at the perfect moments. So my big brother is on the phone frantically trying to find a phone store to take me to. Quickly. True story. And again, there's a reason for the details. He came up with one and I was like, no, no, too far. Can you find one closer? So he found Remy Cellular Solutions in St. Petersburg, Florida. We get to the phone store, and of course, I'm a mess. I'm crying, I'm scared, and the only way I can describe it is I felt like I had lost my husband all over again. But again, let me tell you how good God is. It was the perfect place, the perfect business, full of love and family and the love of God. It's a business where the owner of Remy also has so much knowledge and so much love for God. Almost 4 hours later, with a lot of tears, prayers, and by the grace of God, he got everything restored. He even hooked me up with a new phone, a case, and a screen protector. I'm always so grateful. Had the devastation of my phone not happened, I would have never met the four amazing people I got to meet that day. Not to mention my now big brother that took me, got me a Cinnabon drink, and stayed with me the whole time. So I would not trade the devastation for anything that day. That's how you take the most devastating moments and you turn them into the biggest gifts and the biggest blessings given to you by God. That was in October. Fast forward to April 16th, 2023. I go back to Remy like I promised I would every time I am in town. I even took my kids there during a Christmas trip, so I definitely keep my word. So I do a pop in, and I'm always so excited to see them. And this trip, the owner is there. Christmas trip, he wasn't there, so I got to see him on FaceTime. As we start to visit, he says, I think he was led by God. But he told me, I want to show you this video of my father. So we sat, my friend, my little brother, and I, and watched a video of his father essentially telling his story of how he handed his life over to Christ. Mind you, there was a lot more details to his story, but I don't want to invade someone's privacy. It was exactly what I needed at the exact moment in time. Mind you, I hadn't opened up to him and told him my experience on April 6th. So I will always feel like he was led by God to show us that video. Amazing how someone who I just met 6 months prior is now my family, and he knew exactly what I needed. God is good. Nothing happens by coincidence. Everything happens the way it's supposed to. And every single person you meet is not by accident. My grandmother always told me an angel comes into your life every single day. It's whether you get it or not. Much love to my family in St. Petersburg, Florida. Instead of looking at the negative in this case, my phone, I chose to look at the positive of the angels that God made sure I met that day, one way or another. And a shout out to who I call my big brother. So much love for sticking by me that day and for the love and the calmness you brought to me that day. Back to April 16th, 2023. After we returned to the resort, we went and took showers and went to the beach to watch the sunset. Beautiful, most amazing thing to watch. My friend said, I'm going to sit here on this cabana and I'm going to call the kids. So I told her, I'm going to walk over here to the water. As I stepped into the ocean, now here's the part that changed my life forever. First off, let me tell you that I have a fear of God like no other. I was raised to never question God in any way. So I have, no matter what path I have been taking down, never questioned him why. My saying to God has always been, I don't understand. I just don't understand. I said this so much through my life that my older brother joked with me once and told me, Sis, if you pass away before I do, I'm going to have that put on your headstone. I was like, What are you talking about? And he said, She just didn't understand. With that being said, what I'm about to share is 100% the truth. So help me God. As I stepped into the water, I looked straight into the sunset and I told God, I can't do this anymore. I can't carry all of this pain and trauma and hurt. It's just too heavy for me to carry. I surrender it all to you. It was then that I heard God's voice in my left ear. Not a forceful voice, a real calming voice. In fact, it was such a calmness, a peaceful feeling throughout my whole body. He said, My child, do you understand why I have taken you down the path that I have? I said, No, I have never questioned you, so no, I do not understand. It was then that God said, My child, I took you down every path I took you down because I wanted you kind. I wanted you humble. I wanted you compassionate. I wanted you fair. I wanted you to love unconditionally. But most of all, I wanted you relatable and I wanted you approachable. Now, do you understand, my child? At that moment in time, it all made sense. I told God, yes, it makes sense now. I understand. I felt a complete release. the most peaceful feeling ever in my life. Just so much lighter and free for the first time ever in my life. Of course, I go back to my girlfriend. I immediately told her what I just experienced. Truly, I felt honored, blessed, and could not believe God chose me to speak to. Words could not describe how blessed I still feel. Just 10 days prior, I almost gave up and let the devil win. And now here I was on a healing journey, and God chose to speak to me. Now that's what I personally call a miracle. It's been a little over 3 months, and I still have the same understanding and the same peace. God healed me from all of the trauma and all of the pain that very night. He relieved my burdens. All I had to do was completely surrender everything to Him and completely release it. I'm so grateful for God giving me the understanding that He must have knew I needed, and I did. The rest of the healing journey was amazing, fun, exciting, and full of laughter I haven't felt in so long. We flew out Thursday, April 18th, 2024, and I get home, get settled. Things are good. And Saturday, I go to the bank. I'm in the drive-thru telling the teller, letting her know what I need to do. Of course, I have a distinct voice. People recognize me from kindergarten just by my voice. So I see there's a gentleman standing inside the bank doing his banking, almost breaking his neck to see me. Oh my, no way. I just got home from my healing journey. Dear God, how could this be? Standing inside that bank stood the man that caused so much of my childhood trauma, the man responsible for the horrific childhood I had to endure along with my brothers. I hardly ever see him, even though we live in the same town, but when I do, it always affects me. I normally retreat for a couple of days, time to process, again, alone. Spent the rest of that day alone and just thought to myself, okay, now you're home, Tanya. Time to face this monster from the past and the trauma. Only difference is seeing him did not have the same effect this time. God healed that. Amen. Sunday, April 21st, 2024. I woke up. Normal Sunday. Stepped out of bed and I heard a voice say, you have to start an organization to help people. You have to speak. In my head, I was like, okay. So I walk into my kitchen and I start making coffee and I spoke out loud. Okay, you want me to start an organization to speak to help people. What do you want me to name this organization? Right that moment, your journey is not over, came right out. Those words my husband could not tell me enough. I have cold chills saying that to you now. 2 days later, I did the first video. God said move, I moved. So that there is how the whole thing got started. As I start to tell my personal journey, I want to make something very, very clear. I'm not a victim. I am a survivor. I will never allow that to get twisted. Please join me Thursday for my third podcast. This is where my personal journey begins from the very beginning. As always, I am so grateful and I feel so blessed for the love and support across the nation. Something I do want to make very clear is I am not out here trying to walk on water or part the Red Sea. And really nothing has changed about me. I'm still the same. Same silly personality, same love and compassion as always before. I'm not perfect, nor will I ever claim to be. I ask God every day, is there something about me you want me to change? And no, God asked me to speak, not change. He wants me to be authentic and real and to be exactly who I have been. So this concludes my second podcast. Until next time, please remember, your journey is not over. God bless.
God only knows what you've been through. God only knows what they say about you. God only knows how it's killing you. But there's a kind of love that God only knows. God only